Hello, hello. How are we? I hope we're all good. Hope we're all just a bunch of good little friends. Hey everybody, so today we are doing our critique stream where we're looking at our Patreon supporters artwork and ripping it to shreds. No, just giving feedback. So yeah, here we are. Hello. Oh, right. If you yourself would like your own artwork critiqued, you can sign up for our Patreon. There should be a link in the description down below. And next month, we will look at your work and be like, man, you're good at art.
Like, comment, subscribe, too.
Like, Bones telling me to give you all the YouTube prompts. You have to like, comment, and subscribe also. Thank you. How is Bones? How's Bones?
Alright.
He's alright. Hello, Kuro, Noelle, Nice, Kunai Paint, Clad, Ace, Amy. So many people. Yeah. Currently, we're looking at some art by Ace the Pan. Formerly known as Ms. Pancakes. I'm almost done with my submission. Aw, heck. Hello, Hex. Hello, Battlebox. So many people. Okay, so first we're gonna start with Ace's work, because she has to go. And then Bones will do his one script critique that was submitted, and then I'll continue with the rest of the art. This is so cute. Hello, Sketchy Bagel, Andy, Gem. Ace has been chosen as tribute. Can I ask Bones to critique at the end? I'm at a party right now, but I'll leave in 1 hour. Oh no, Bones, you gotta do yours at the end. So yeah, he can do that. Glad I actually made it for once. Hell yeah. Okay. Yep, that's fine. So at the end, Bones can review your script. I always show up as mine is done. Oh no. I know, it's always like right when we finish it up. You're like, hey, I'm here. Hello. Hello. Okay, I suppose I should jump into it. I have so much homework I can't do my art. Oh, I'm sorry. That is crappy. Okay, I'll be back in 1 hour. Okay, we'll see you then. Okay, so let's do this. Yeah. Okay. I hate when I open Discord and it sends me a million notifications. And I'm like, I can't handle this. I'm just trying to look at a message. Like, not like notifications from other people, more like, hey, we added new features. Here you go. Let me tour them for you. And I'm like, no, wait, no. No. I also avoid new features. I just go, that's new and scary. Then I scuttle back under my rock. A question I've meant to ask, is it fine for non-patrons to hang out in the chat during critiques? Oh, for sure. You can hang out, you can chat with people, you can just watch, take notes for your own art. Yep, there's no problem with non-patrons hanging out in the chat. Okay, so let's see. So Ace said, here are some pins I'm doing a Kickstarter for. I'm well into promotion and only a few days from launch, so any critique advice is stuff I'll mostly put towards future merch endeavors. But I'd be interested in feedback on the colors, poses, an overall cute factor, costume design, cover and layout composition. The concept of the pins is basically in Animal Crossing New Horizons, you can use a wand to dress up. But what if the other characters could too? Oh, okay, I see. So yeah, so they're using the little costume swap wand. Okay. So I think I'm curious about like what's the context for this image? Like, is this social promo? Is it like a picture on the campaign page? Because I think that depending on what context most people will see it, kind of affects how effective I think this composition is. It's the cover photo on Kickstarter. Okay. Right, because I was going to say if it's like promotional and you're posting it on social and stuff, I definitely slap like a nice Kickstarter logo on there and lots of calls to action, or CTAs as they call them, in marketing. Did Bones just hiss? Listen. Yeah, so
Marketer Gray is coming out.
listen. Yeah, so with basically with marketing promotion is you want to convince people to do the action you want them to do. So in this case, it would be visiting your Kickstarter and supporting it. But since this is not social, this is a diatribe for another time. I should put the Kickstarter logo on my promo stuff. Yeah, you should. It's really important because it's like it's a noticeable brand. It's where you're sending people. 10 out of 10. So yeah. So overall, sorry, I gotta rearrange my little screen here. I have the word Kickstarter on them at least. Yeah. That is true. So yeah, so I think overall, the pins are really cute. They're super cute. I really like the effect you've used on them to give them that kind of gold sheen to show that they're like gold enamel pins. That's really cool. Let's see. Looking for colors, poses, overall cute factor. So the cute factor is 100% there. These are super, super cute. I especially love Isabel. My head is covering a lot of her, but hers is like super, super cute. I love that so much. As for colors, I think there are some issues with the gold shine effect you have going on here. The Q factor is over 9,000. It really is. And I think it's a contrast issue. So these are very like pastel colored, and I think that's great. I think it works really well. But I find the gold shine that you have going on here kind of blends in with some of the colors. I notice it especially with, oh no, I don't remember his name. The bug boy. Flick, that's it. So yeah, with Flick, because the I find the red of his scales is very close in value to the lighter. Well, no, it's more closer in value to like the darker gold color you have going on. So like whereas like Isabel, her yellow fur is kind of very close to the light shine of the gold. So it's just creating some contrast issues where like for on Flick, where you have the shine appearing, it's really easy to see his outline and his colors. But on like the darker parts, it kind of blends together a little bit. I find with Isabel having like the lighter value being closer to her fur, it's not as much of a problem because it feels like you're showing the outline and you can see how it shines on it, whereas like it feels a little jarring on Flick. So I'd be careful with your values the next time you're making a promotional thing showing off like the shiny outline of the metal part of the pin. Just make sure that everything is still clear even when you add like effects and stuff. Compositionally, I think your typography on this could have a little more room to breathe. Like, it's still readable, like looking at it, especially because I can also see it in like a smaller view through OBS. So like from far away, I find I also noticed the colors are darker through OBS. I don't know what's going on there, but like it's still legible, and you've got some good contrast going on. So I can read what it says. I do think it is a little squished up to the top, and I find some of the pins are a little condensed close. Where I noticed it most with red, with the stars kind of behind his pin. I wasn't sure exactly, like, is this part of the background of the ad, or is it part of his pin? And I think maybe creating some difference between, maybe more space, some more space between, say, like, his pin and the text and stuff, and between all the other pins might help. But maybe creating, like, a drop shadow on top of the background, or making sure you're using, like, I know why you went with the yellow star, because obviously it's about, like, the star wands and stuff. But yeah, but maybe just some kind of separation between the pins and the background, just to give a maybe more clear idea of what the pins look like. I mean, obviously once they get to your page, they'll see maybe like product mock-ups and stuff that are like obviously not part of a promotional piece. The cover photo is also the thumbnail on Kickstarter, so I wanted to make sure they were visible in a smaller size. A drop shadow is a good idea. It can be subtle too, like you don't have to do a super dark drop shadow, but just like a really like when you're adding the drop shadow, drop it down to like 10% around that bit, so that like it's not super noticeable. It's like subtle enough that people can see some of the separation. I have individual pics of on the actual page. Yeah, totally. But I find it gets a little crowded up near the text, where like the pins in the background kind of overlap things. And the text is very squished to the top. I'd give it a bit more room. Yeah, and I don't notice it so much with the rest of it, but definitely near the top, things feel a little squished. So I might kind of leave a little bit of space at the top, just because it has so many elements going on up there. Whereas like the other kind of sides of the piece, I don't feel like things are crowded in as much. So yeah, so I think that's all I would change, is maybe just some contrast issues, and maybe giving your typography some room to breathe. Yeah, otherwise this looks really great. It's really cute. I love the Isabel so much. It's so cute. Figuring out layouts for ads is so freaking hard. It's the bane of my existence at my day job. You have so little room to put so much information. Okay, let me know if you have any more questions about that, Ace. So for the next one, oh, wrong way. There we go. So next are my comic boys once more. On the left is Sinclair, and on the right is Kobe. Kobe is the protagonist who works for a barely government-approved organization of mercenaries. Oh no, the Valkyrie Mercenary Agency. While Sinclair is a high-ranking member of a crime syndicate Cerberus. Oh my god. Kobe used to work for them as well. Story revolves around enemies to lovers. I'm here for this. Listen. All the main characters have powers. Okay, so Sinclair's Rosalina's weapon, which is a big fork and it's vampire aesthetic. Kobe has 2 powers because he's blessed by the gods. Balcog and Chernabog. Can negate others' blessings and reflect them. Okay. I think I've already talked about their personalities in the past. Sinclair is cold and serious. He loses his cool around Kobe. Kobe acts friendly and laid back. He's a hidden mean streak. Oh no. Oh, you don't have to read all this on stream. I'm doing it. I'm loving that Bones is just hanging out in the background. He's chilling. I'd like critique on their designs, color palettes, how they look together. Do they complement each other or look too similar? What's the overall vibe do you get? What do you think of the style? I'm trying to learn. Lean into simplifying things. Okay. So. Sorry, just putting my thoughts together. So I find in their designs, I was surprised when you said that they are possibly love interests. And I think that is mostly because they look very different age-wise. And I think a lot of it is due to like their clothing signifiers. So like Sinclair is wearing like a suit. He's very tall. Oh, hi Siri. But he's very tall. He dresses very like professionally. I mean, obviously with like a twist. Whereas Kobe wears very, I guess more childish sort of clothing.
The Ace of Pan version of Black Butler a little bit.
Bones. A little bit.
Just gives me that energy. I'm sorry. I thought people liked that.
Do they? Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Sorry, that's my impression.
No, that's fine.
I have an opinion again. I'm sorry.
I hope you guys can hear Bones in the background. Okay, so Kobe's fashion gives me the struggle. Yeah, because like I think you can still have a height difference between them and still make them look the same age. But having Kobe, because like I think part of it too is like the shorts and high socks that screams like children's uniform to me, like an academy uniform type thing. I think the shorts, the long socks paired with his little like rounded collar just feels very like childish or childlike. It feels very like Victorian Victorian child. Whereas I think if you changed maybe like the bottom half of his outfit, you could make it feel modern, more modern and less kind of childlike. More athletic shorts and leggings, yeah, that could definitely change the vibe of it. Because I think the shirt in itself, like with the hoodie matched with like the collared shirt, like I don't think that's bad. I think that is a really cute choice. But I think it's just like a mix of just a few different elements that make him feel like younger than he is. But maybe if he's wearing something more athletic looking, I think a lot of it is the outfit. And I think it's also just the clash between the very professional look that Sinclair has and then the very casual look that Kobe has. I promise they're both adults. No, it's fine. Because, like, Sinclair has, like, a very, like, cutesy face. Like, their faces look very similar in age. I really think it's just a problem with their costuming or outfits. I always say costuming when I'm talking about design. I'm like, their costumes. um, but yeah, so I think that's all that's feels really off to me. I really like Sinclair's vibe. He definitely screams like vampire aesthetic. Um, what are you looking at? So yeah, so their color palettes are contrasting, which I think is good if you're going for kind of they're opposed to each other and then slowly they can fall in love later throughout the story. Because like Sinclair is very red, where Kobe seems to be very kind of green and blue. It's like it's mostly green because I can see there's lots of like kind of green, like it's a dark green, but there's green in like his hair streak. I guess his eyes are a bit more kind of gray blue, but you know, it still has that same kind of like feel for a feel towards that kind of cool green look. So I do like that contrast between them. I think that's great. And I like how Kobe is very like soft, rounded shapes, where Sinclair is a lot more pointy. I do also like how Sinclair doesn't look totally evil, because I think in previous versions I was like, oh dang, he is just that evil being, who's very serious. But I like how you've expressed him smiling and stuff, where he still got that kind of villainy vibe just from the way he dresses, but like you can see that he's maybe nice, you know, a little bit, just from the expression and the posing and stuff. I also love his heels. 10 out of 10. Love a suit matched with it with a little pump. 10 out of 10. I honestly I really like their coloring. I feel like you've got some good contrast going on between like the different pieces of their outfits and of their design. There's some good contrast going on. Like I love the way that like Sinclair's collar and like the inside of his jacket are that bright red, and it matches like his tie and his hair clippy thing, and his pumps and stuff, and then the rest is just this kind of like shades of like this very reddish gray. And like I love Kobe's face and hair. There's something just like really balanced about it. Like I love the little streak of like black or green or whatever it is in his hair. Like it feels really nice and balanced. So I really like what you're doing with like kind of weaving the two kind of main colors together within each of their designs. And yeah, overall these are really great. I also really like the simplified look a lot. It's really cute. It's really expressive. I love the height difference and the difference in like the shapes they're made out of. Like they're both very unique characters. They're really easy to tell apart. Yeah, and I feel like the shapes here are like really strong. And I think it really works as a nice simplified style. So yeah, so I don't think you got to worry about them looking similar or anything like that. And I think they are a nice complement for each other. I'd be curious about seeing how they interact together, to see what that looks like, because I think that could give a better impression about how they look together as well. But I might change Kobe's clothing a little bit to make him look a little older. So yeah, so let me know if you have any questions on that. I think I'll go to the next one. Lastly, I wanted to try using harsher shading, so I drew Sinclair without a shirt on. I didn't want to bother with his coat collar. Fair. I'd like feedback on the coloring, shading, style, pose, silhouette, etc. So I like. Oh, I don't usually decide exactly height for characters, but Sinclair is very tall and Kobe is maybe a tiny bit under average. Oh, okay, okay. Listen, we stand a height difference. They cute. So I like the movement you've got going on with the pose and the hair. You've got this nice little kind of like S line going through everything. It brings the eye around the piece. I find compositionally it is a little bottom heavy. Like you've got all this space kind of above, where the meat of everything is kind of down at the bottom. I might recommend cropping it like down a little bit, like maybe cropping it down to like just above his head or something, or just bringing out the bottom more, so it feels a bit more balanced. Because right now, just it is very bottom heavy as a composition. And like you have all this nice like detail down here at the bottom where like I feel like my eye keeps going to the top because there's this like bright pink swath going on here that like I want to look at. But even though you have like all these nice curves and movement going on and like a cute facial expression, blah blah blah, all that good stuff going on in the actual subject of the piece. I will crop. Okay. But yeah, but I like how like it brings you through the line of his hair especially, as well as like the sorry, I'm just figuring out words. Yeah, the line of the hair especially, but like just the way you've drawn like the shapes and the pose, it's very dynamic. It has a lot of like the curves are kind of bringing your eye through the composition quite a bit. I like how like you kind of follow like the line of the hair, but instead of like getting lost down here, like his bangs kind of bring you to look up at the face, and then like just all the lines, they like bring you down, they bring you up, all through the thing. Really good. 10 out of 10. I think as for the color choices, I really like the really saturated pink and purple scheme you're going with. I find the brown of the hair, like the base color of the hair, it feels like it's clashing a little bit. And I think it just be compared to like the bright pink and the bright purple, it feels very gray and dull. And I think, but it's also very dark. So it feels like there's a bit of a contrast issue between, say, like the purple of the shadow and then the brown of the hair. And I think, I'm not sure exactly. I'd have to grab like a color picker or something to really tell right now. But I think you may want to like bring more pink and purple into it and saturate it a bit more. Just to kind of bring it in line with the rest of the colors going on. Because if he was in, say, like pink lighting, the rest of the colors of him would also be kind of tinted pink. And I think and adding in a little bit of like red or pink tone into your colors will kind of make them more cohesive in this color scheme, for example. Be more saturated purpley brown. Yep. Purple could also work to kind of bring it in line with the shadow on the hair. You could also try something interesting with you could also try something interesting with having like the light that's touching him being pink and then having the shadows be purple. Like you do have some like purple in the pink that is like the shadow on his skin. But adding in like a bit of purple might be interesting so that like your shadows can be this very cool purple and the highlights and kind of main subject can be this like really warm pink. That could be interesting to play around with. So yeah, I think you've got really good contrast between like his skin and the shadows on his skin. Whereas I feel like the hair maybe needs a bit more contrast, like a bit like a value, like a lighter value for the non-shadowed parts. um, um, I also find with the shading, like the actual placement of the shadows, there's some that I find like there's like a lot of it is really great. I like the shadow kind of on this side of his face because it really shows the shape of his face. But I find some other places they don't quite work. Like, for example, his clavicle has like a lot of shadow on it. And it feels kind of outliney, like it's really outlining this section here where it might not behave that way. Unless his like clavicle is really sticking out like really far. Just having that much shadow around it really makes it feel like it's protruding. So that's something to be careful about, is like using maybe more subtle shadows around like to structure your forms. So like you can use these really big shadows on say like the curve of a shoulder to show that like because then you're showing like the actual curve of it by using shadow. Whereas you can show kind of more subtle differences of shape, like say with your clavicle, which doesn't stick out a whole lot. Like sometimes it does. Like I find when you bring your shoulders up, there's kind of like a hollow in your clavicle. So maybe on this side you'd see it, but on this side it would probably be more kind of flat and covered by like your skin, if that makes sense. So yeah, so that's something to keep in mind. I do find his shoulder here loses a little bit of structure. It feels like it goes too far in, but you don't see his back behind it. Because even if you're bringing your shoulder in, you'd still see part of like his back behind him, where this kind of makes him feel like kind of it just feels like the shape isn't quite there. So yeah, but this is a difficult pose. There's some foreshortening happening in his shoulder, and it's hard to display that. I really like what you've done like over here with this shoulder. Like this little section right here is like so good, where you can see like where his shoulder meets like his chest is really nice. I couldn't find a great reference of that bit of the pose. Yeah, it can be hard. I definitely, when I have like a weird pose that I can't do, I just I get in front of the mirror and I make the weird pose, or I get Bones to come up and do it. Get him to pose for me a lot. I'd also, another instance of like similar to the clavicle, I think there's a bit too much shadow on his forehead here. Like unless his bangs are really coming far off his head, the light would probably go up to his hairline a bit more. Whereas like because his bangs, the closer they get to his hairline, the closer they are to his head, there'd be like a tighter shadow to show that like it's not quite as far off his skin. So yeah, so then yeah, the closer something is, the tighter the shadow, the farther away, the more kind of like large and fuzzy the shadow gets, if that makes any sense. Obviously when you're using like a cell shaded version like this, you're not going to like fuzz out the shadow, but the shadow's bigger if it's farther away. Anatomy wise, I think it's mostly the shoulder is just throwing things off a little bit, because like I find his neck might also be a little bit long, but because he's like a very long character and it's very stylized, I don't think that's really like a problem. But yeah, I think it's just the shoulders kind of throwing things off a little bit. And kind of condensing things. But yeah, overall, great shape, great movement. I really like what you're doing with the colors, and I think you just got to push it a little bit more. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. And I'm happy to answer. I'm going to drink some hocho. And some water for my little throat. That's already sad. Sorry, I'll try not to drink into the mic. Okay. Who would like to go next? Let's see. Drinking water ASMR. That's like my nightmare. I don't like the sounds of like people swallowing and stuff. Or like slurping water. Hex is here? Okay. I think that's all I need. I'm gonna go see my grandma. Okay, bye. I'll go with Hex just because they spoke up sooner. Okay, let's see. Where? Oh, I can close these. Okay. So we'll do yours after this. Nice. Okay. First piece is the last art fight piece, deliberately leaned into the round and angular thing here, which is opposite from their OG designs. But I caught myself doing otherwise, so I decided to lean into it. Okay. So. I really like the pose. It's very cute. It's very dynamic. I do find the composition itself feels a little unbalanced. You've got a lot going on this side and like not a lot going on this side. That could easily be fixed by like putting in some background elements or cropping it. I find it's also very halved just because you have, oh shoot, I can't remember this character's name, but you have the one in red is like right in the middle of the composition, so it's kind of splitting it in half. And it's especially kind of stark because one half is like full of foreground stuff and the rest is kind of blank with just some background mirror, that's it. With just some like background ambiance. Yeah, so I think, and the thing is like, if you just brought it in a little bit more, you've got a lot of movement going on in the pose, especially like with the wings. You've got like, all their hands touching and all these good kind of lines bringing you through the pose to like look around it. I think it's just the composition is in half and it's a little distracting. I think there's also some contrast issues. It feels very washed out. There aren't very many like dark shadows. The closest comes to Mira's hair, where there is some like black shadows with like the grayish highlights. But otherwise it feels kind of flattened just because there isn't very much. There is shading, but it doesn't have a lot of contrast, so it flattens things out a little bit. I really like Mira's face here. Like, it feels very structured. I like his expression. I find Silas, that's it. I find Silas's face feels like it's been kind of squished. I think it's just because it's turned. It feels like some of the structure is gone, and it feels kind of flat and squished, whereas Mira's face still feels very structured. Yeah, it feels like Silas is kind of missing the back of his head a little bit. Sorry, just gathering my thoughts. Because, like, I like what you're doing with a lot of the shading. Like, I can see, like, in here, like, on his arm especially. Like, that's nice. Like, I like that. I love the way you've got, like, kind of a darker color and then kind of, like, a medium color and then this, like, later highlight side. And I think if you just deepen the contrast a little bit, I think this is, like, a great recipe for really showing the, like, the volume of your shapes and stuff. Like, yeah, just darkening the shadows, lightening the highlights a little bit, but having that, like, even just the 3 values going through, like, you're gonna have way more shapely art by modeling the forms and using really, really nice contrast. And, like, same with his arm here, where, like right here where you can see, like, the little bit of highlight shine. Like, I just wish it was pushed more so that, like, you could really get that really nice shape. Same with here on the belt and stuff. But yeah, I think it just needs more contrast. Yeah, overall, good pose. Lots of cuteness. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Oops, keep going the wrong way. This one is a pretty quick lineless thing. Basically, I bought an Adopt and wanted to give them a natural color scheme too, so I can use them as an OC's pet. Oh, that's cute. This is really cute. Okay, so I know that this has no questions for now. Okay. So I know that the kitty cat has, like, little black tips on their ears. Just because it's a transparent image, the background on this is pretty dark. So I won't ding you about contrast or anything because it looks fine on Discord. Actually, I will give you a little bit of a ding on the contrast, not because of the black ear tips. Sorry, got a text message. Anyways, the lines showing, like, the limbs and some of the fluff and, like, the little mouth and stuff, I think you need to darken those lines just, like, a little smidgen. They blend into the white fur quite a bit, and it's a little hard to see some of the details, especially when you have these really dark outlines on, like, the eyes and on the little eyebrows. Like, it really makes the lines on the arms and the fur and stuff, like, really makes it fade away just because you have that high contrast going on elsewhere on the design. I really like everything going on in the face. I think you have good contrast here outside of, like I was saying, like, the really white lines for, like, the mouth and the bottom of the face. But, like, I love, you've got good contrast between, say, like, all the pinks of this gray here. I like the subtle little details, like the little dots, and then this little, like, not the, like, a lighter gray kind of in the background. Like, it's you've got great contrast going on up here. I just think that you need to darken these kind of outliney things going on throughout it. Shape wise, super duper cute. I love the ear shape. I think you've done a really good job with the silhouette. It's just super cute. You've done these really cute proportions on this little baby. I love the expression. Overall, it's really good. I think just the one issue with it is that contrast issue with the line work. I think... Oh, hello. You, McGeek. Welcome. I think another little thing you may want to fix up is that this leg is much wider than this leg. I think you could easily fix that by just shifting the line in between them over a little bit. I was too lazy to darken it because it wasn't on an extra layer that I could log. Oh, mood. I know, yeah, because you'd have to go in and draw over it, right? But I think there's also an issue where this leg is larger than the other one. I think you can easily fix that by just shifting the line in the middle over a little bit to kind of even them out, or maybe shaving off this side just a smidgen. Yeah, overall great work. Let me know if you have any questions on that one. Some designs. Okay, so didn't leave me any information on these guys. So no questions? Okay. So I like how distinct all these characters are. Like, even in a lineup, they look very different. They seem to have very different personalities. Like, the first character looks kind of sad and like a bit of a dreary type. The one in the middle looks kind of more like maybe trickstery or very like sly, like kind of that kind of vibe. Like they've just got like a very amused expression. And then the one on the right looks very peppy and cheerful. So I think you've got some really good shapes going on. I think the strongest one shape-wise would probably be the first one here. Just because, like, you've got this thing going on with the kind of triangle square shape thingies going on. Like, you've got that in their skirt here, as well as, like, the little belt part, and as well as their hair, and that really shines through. And on the sleeves and stuff. And I think you've got a really strong shape going through there. I also like the repetition of the little gold circle, like from their necklace, and then on the shoes, on the little shoesies. I think that works really well. Yeah, you've just got a lot of nice echoes going on in their design, like with the bracelets and the necklaces, the echo of like the tattoo, and then the birds on their shirt. I like the little belly button detail where it doesn't, like, it looks like they maybe got like a bit more fat on their stomach, because the belly button doesn't look like totally flat. So I think that's a nice little touch. But overall, yeah, a really strong design. You've got a nice like through line with the green and the yellow, and then the more browny kind of colors. That one was the one I did last out of these, actually. I usually work from right to left. Leftover from working... Oh, traditional as a lefty. Oh, that's interesting. That's so cool. But yeah, but I really like what you've done with this character. I think the colors have a great through line. I think there's a great shape through line. You get a good kind of feel for their personality through their expressions and like the shape of their eyes and stuff. I also like how the tops of their eye kind of matches that like swoopy shape from the bottom of their hair. I think that's a nice touch. As for the middle character, oh, pardon me. I think the colors are really cohesive for the middle character. Just because you've got that through line of like the gold kind of red tone going through, like in the shirt and the socks and the shoes and the jewelry. I really like it. I really like the shoe detail where you've got the mismatched red and gold look, and how, like, I feel like, well, that's like one of the signs of like a really good character design is like you could take the design and cut it into quarters, and you could still tell that they're all part of the same character. And I think you can really do that with this character's like design, where from all sides there's like this color cohesiveness that's really strong. I do like how you've also got this like nice, like you've got this kind of like vertical line thing going on with like with the pants. They're just like, they're basically just like bars, vertical bars. And then yeah, and you've got good parallels with like the cuffs and the socks. I like the hair a lot. Like I really like that shape. I feel like it suits their face quite a bit. I'm not sure if there's a through line kind of with their white hair that's kind of like fluffy. But I don't think it distracts from the rest. I think the outfit is really strong and really suits the character. And as for the last character, or I guess the first one that you drew, I love the colors. I love because I noticed in the color palette there's like this little red, but you only see it in like their lips, and I don't know, I like it. It's kind of nice. I like it, the very subtle use of it. Though honestly, no, I was gonna say like maybe you wanted to like bring in more of like a cool red, like a purpley red into the lipsticks of this character, but I find the red for their lipstick kind of matches their skin tone, whereas like, which feels a lot more kind of reddy, earthy toned, whereas like their outfit is very like cool and purpley, obviously. Where like I like the contrast of that. I like the contrast of like the more kind of earthy reds versus like the very neon like purples and pinks. I think they're desaturated enough, like the skin tone and the lipstick and stuff, that it doesn't distract from the really bright colors. Like they're not clashing vibrancy wise. I think you got some really strong stuff going on with the heart shape, because I love it in like the little hair buns and then the front of the shirt and stuff. But I find the rest, like I find the boots and the hair match, just with those like kind of the stripey thing going on, like obviously like thick stripes. And I find like the style of the pants, like the ripped pants and like the fishnet shirt and stuff, like it all matches really well. I feel like it needs like a bit more of a through line. Like I want to see a bit more of that kind of heart shape, especially in the bottom half, because the top half feels very different than the bottom half outside of like color wise. So I think maybe bringing in like a little bit more of that heart shape into it somehow, like maybe changing the shape of the rips in the jeans, maybe changing the shape of the boots, something like that, just to make it a little bit stronger, like shape wise. Does that make sense? I hope so. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions on that. I think it's a really strong design. I think it just needs like a little bit of touch up, where the other two feel a lot more balanced to me. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer. Okay, so I was gonna look at Nice's submission next. I know I changed my mind on what comics I'm gonna make all the time. Listen. But I've almost sketched out this whole mini comic, so I'm definitely gonna finish this one. Nice. I had trouble with the third panel. I don't think the perspective on the villain guy looks quite right, so any help on that would be great. I also love feedback on the page in general, if I can do anything to improve it. Okay. No questions? Okie dokes. Okay. So I love this page. I know you don't have the dialogue on or anything, but it still tells a story with just like the angles you've chosen, like the character expressions. I can kind of get a sense of what's going on. I love panel 3. I really like how he's so tall and imposing that he like breaks out of the panel. I think that's hilarious. I love the way for this panel 3. Oh, too close. You've kind of like curved some of the background so it matches. It's like, it's not quite fisheye lens, but it's like kind of on the verge of that, where it's just like so exaggerated that like it like it really shows off like this guy's like how imposing he is. But I like how you've got this kind of like subtle curve to like the ceiling boards, and how it kind of curves the desk and stuff. Like, I mean, he's so imposing. He's curved the panel lines. Like, that's so fun. I think I like what you've done with this character. I like how they're kind of like leaned back. I think it exaggerates his imposingness a lot. If you stylize the perspective, then no one knows that you don't know what you're doing. Oh my god, mood. So relatable. But I like how like the cookie stand is like leaning back away from him. I like how this character is like leaning back. That's fantastic. I think what maybe feels off about him is that I think you need to exaggerate him in the opposite way you've exaggerated this character, where like maybe you need to, because I find like down here by the desk, his body feels kind of like neutral, whereas I think only his head is kind of like, you can see kind of the tilt in it, and it's obviously like popping out of the panel a little bit, which makes it feel like skewed. I'd recommend maybe making like maybe his shoulders broader and maybe like tilting his head back. Well, maybe not tilt the head back, but like maybe make it look a bit smaller and make his shoulders look kind of wider and more imposing, and kind of bend him back away from the camera a little bit. You could maybe make his body kind of where it touches the counter to like maybe make it get this kind of like really exaggerated kind of like outward motion, if that makes sense. Or you could keep it very traditional perspective, where like at the bottom he's like larger and then gets smaller at the top. But I think to make him feel imposing, you need him to kind of become like a bit of like a large triangle at the top and then get smaller at the bottom, just to get that very like exaggerated, like he's big feeling. This is a little thing, but just something to watch out for. The top of his helmet is touching the panel line, which is, I don't know what it's actually called. My art teacher called it a major merger, which is where, oh, sorry, I'll repeat what I said. Oh no, maybe it's my internet. He's having trouble. Sorry, so with his perspective, I think you can either go like total normal perspective and have him like be larger at the bottom and get smaller at the top to make him seem tall, or you can make kind of his top half kind of wider and more imposing. To be more imposing, like make him more kind of triangular at the top and lean him away from the camera a little bit more, just to make him seem tall. But yeah, there's a little bit of a tangent going on here, which creates an optical illusion that makes them seem like they're on the same plane of existence, even though he's in front of the panel, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I might just move him up or down so that he's not grazing the panel line. Oops. But yeah, but like I said, I really love the paneling. I love the perspective of the top shot. Like, I love how you've included the top of the lamp. Like, I think that's such a nice subtle touch to make the space feel more 3D. And like, I just like the setup. This is a really nice establishing shot. You can kind of tell they're in like, it looks like a bakery or a cafe or a sweet shop or something like that. You can see the characters interacting. You see like the little top of his horn. That's fantastic as he comes in. And yeah, and I like how once he enters and like he kind of breaks the panel, the rest of the perspective is really skewed just to show how immense he is and how nervous the main character seems to be. Where like you see it from his perspective where he's like looking down on them. I think that's fantastic. And I like how he's still like being looked up at. I like how you're doing these reverse shots of like looking down and looking up. I think that's a really great effect just to keep that same energy that's going on. And I like I really like how you've done this panel here where he's really far away. I think that's just so fun. I think you're doing a lot of really cool stuff with the perspective for storytelling effect and comedic effect. I think it's really fun. But yeah, I think you just need to push this guy, like, skew him a little bit more so he looks a little bit more imposing. I can only imagine having a good understanding of composition. Listen, it is hard. But yeah, this is great. I really like this. It's really fun. This is going into my portfolio. I'm so happy it looks all right. Hell yeah. I think this is a great piece to put into your portfolio. Is there anything else you had questions about or anything like you wanted me to kind of address with this page? I'd just be like box rectangle, box done. Thanks for the perspective tips. No problem. You're good? Okay, cool. I feel comic composition is sort of its own thing in a way. It is different because, like, the thing with comic composition, I just wanted a second opinion. Oh, yeah, fair. The thing with comic composition is, like, you're doing several compositions within one whole composition. It's very gestalt. But yeah. It's difficult. It's tricky. It's a balancing act of getting all your panels to look right compositionally so that they lead the eye around, while also making sure your whole composition looks good. It's difficult. I feel you, my friends. Okay. Who would like to go next? I think Kuro. I saw you here. So who do we have left? We have Kuro. We have Sketchy. We have Alice. We have Cole. We have V. Kuro's here? Okay. Let's look at your stuff. Okay, so I looked at the pages you sent in. Sorry, let me look at your notes. There we go. If you could critique an event that happens in my comic, critique how it reads, layout, and anything else you notice. Okay, and it reads like manga, right? Okay, so looking at your comic pages, I think you have really good flow going on. Like, it's pretty easy to read through each page. Yeah, you got good flow. I can tell which panel to look at. I think you've done a really good job there. One thing that stood out to me, was the typography. I found at times it was hard to read since it is handwritten. I think in part, I think one big component to why I found it a little difficult to read was because it is handwritten. And I find like some parts seem to be like some words were kind of squished in to like fit apologize onto this line. Like different words are different sizes and stuff. And I found that the typography was also very squished into the edges a lot. Like, for here example, like some of the words are like stuck to the side of the speech bubble, while some were there's lots of space on the other side. And I found just overall the text was very tight into the edges of each like caption or speech bubble. Trying to get better at that. Because I think the handwritten stuff really works for, say, like, you know, the exclamation here, or even some of the small text, because I think it adds that kind of, like, chaotic feel. Like, I find with the shouting, like, when he's like, oh, God, or when he says, like, nah, no, like, I find it works because, like, it fits the feeling of, like, yelling. Whereas like the little sound effects, like where he's saying huh, and where he says like heh heh, I find it also works because it has that kind of like aside feeling where it stands out from the rest of the text. I think for your speech bubbles and captions and stuff, you may want to. I think you can still do handwritten. Like, I don't want to tell you like that's a no-no, because you can totally do handwritten typography and it can look fantastic. I think what you should do is maybe get a font, type out what you want the words to be in each bubble, and then kind of write over it, so that way you don't have to ever like stuff a word really close together to like get it to fit in a line, and you can get everything aligned to like center or wherever you want it. Yeah, so I just recommend using some sort of guideline to help kind of make sure that your typography is very legible. And I'd also recommend giving your speech bubbles more room to breathe. I found it actually was a bit better in your speech bubbles. I just found those captions initially, like there wasn't a lot of room on the sides, but when they're actually talking, like there's lots of good room around the speech bubbles to be able to read it. Sorry, gathering my thoughts. I really liked the expressions, like especially in these first couple pages. I really liked Mackie's expressions. Like here, looks really nice. I really loved his expression here. I just felt so bad. I was like, oh baby. But I think you're doing some really great expression work with all the characters. I also like the exaggerated bit when he gets hit. It's like, oh my god, is he okay? But yeah, I think you're doing some really good work there. I find there's a little scale problem. It doesn't happen on every page. I noticed it the most in this particular panel where Mackie is very sorry. So to establish kind of what I'm talking about, that was fun and painful to draw. Oh no. But to establish what I'm talking about, so with perspective in mind, when things are in the foreground, they're larger. When things are in the background, they get smaller as they go further back. I find in this particular panel, the bullies up front in front of this fence are very small, and then Mackie is like, he's about the same size as them. When if he's judging by the perspective on this like trail that he's walking down, he should be smaller by a smidge. Like considering that these bullies can hide behind the height of this fence, like just from where Mackie is standing on this trail, his head should be below the fence as well. Sorry, I need some water. So yeah, so I think in this particular panel, I think you just need to size down Mackie a little bit. Mackie is 8 feet, Honda is 7 feet in that panel. Yes. I think that's the only part where I really noticed it. Maybe here a little bit, the perspective seems a little off. Like, I think it's just the way they're touching the ground here. It doesn't quite feel like they're sitting on the panel, on the ground. I'd recommend putting down like a grid, like a perspective grid, just because that can help you kind of formulate how they're laid out on the ground. And kind of help, you can place them a little bit easier and make them feel like they're sitting on the ground. Adding shadows below them would also help to make them feel more grounded. There was one more thing. Oh, there was a little storytelling thing that I felt was off. Just checking back. Has Bones commented on mine yet? Nope, not yet. You still got time, Clad. So one little thing that feels off to me is that after he's been hit, and she's asking like what happened, he says like I didn't see who did it. Like I don't know who hit me. But the paneling of the page where he actually gets hit, it feels like he's got a full view of Honda here. Just because like there's a panel of him looking, then you see kind of a reverse shot of what's in front of him. And I think if you took out Honda and he only saw the bat coming toward his face, I feel like that would make more storytelling sense. If it's like he only sees the hit, he doesn't see who's holding it. You could also do that by like turning Honda into a silhouette. Because I don't think it's a problem if like as the reader we've seen who it is. But for him to be like, I don't know who did it. It just feels strange because you see the panel of him looking and then you see what he's looking. He's lying. Oh, dang. It's common if you're afraid of the person who hurts you. Oh, okay. Then I think you need something to maybe signify that he's not telling the truth. That might not come in this scene, but maybe in the future. Okay. So never mind my comments then. But maybe even just like a little panel of him hesitating, being like, and then I didn't see who did it. really like the establishing shot at the beginning. I really like how you can see like the students in the school. I also like these little clouds in the background. But yeah. Oh, she says he's lying. Oh, okay. Okay, maybe I read it too literally. Sorry for that. Okay. Oh, the reader can't be wrong. I didn't make it clear enough. Yeah, I think it might just need a reaction shot of him hesitating, but who knows? I mean, it could be more clear if I'd seen, like, if I was reading the entire comic versus just seeing a scene. So there is that as well. So yeah, do you have any other questions or anything I didn't cover? Layout, how it reads. So I think that's it, because you've got really good flow going on. There's just a few. What? Oh. Not when they're Ursula. Listen, I make mistakes. No, that's great. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, great work. It's cool seeing the comic pages after seeing all the designs and stuff. Okay, who wants to go next? So we have Alice, we have Sketchy, we have Cole, V. Gotta try and figure the graph thing out. It's difficult, but once you get it, it is like the best. It's very confusing. Mood. Yeah, figuring out perspective rulers and grids at the beginning is really hard. But I'm here for only 10 minutes. Okay, Alice, let's look at your stuff. But yeah, but once you get the perspective grid down, it is 10 out of 10. Okay, Alice. Another character from the band comic. She's a baritone player. Aya, she works a lot and probably has too many responsibilities on her plate, but she's very passionate about cats and anime. I love her. Aya is supposed to be a pastel goth. I was having contrast issues with her design. Aside from that, general critique is good. Okay. So. We should ban perspective. No, it's good. It's important. Okay. Color-wise, man, I love her, but I'm a sucker for like girls with pink hair. Listen. So I think you've done a really good balance with the blue and pink. Like I like the blue in her eyes that like matches her shirt and stuff. And then like the pink through like the shoes and the skirt and the hair and the eyeshadow and stuff. I think this is all really good. I like the little black highlights. So like even though she's like a pastel goth where it's like a lot more like bright colors and stuff, I like how she's got like black lipstick and like a black hairband and like a choker and her belt and her shoes. I think these hello.
Keep talking.
Okay, I think these are all really good touches that kind of add to her gothiness. I don't think you have to worry too much about contrast because she has these like black touches in her Big hair equals instant charisma, yes. Um, but yeah, because she has these kind of really dark touches in her clothing, I don't think contrast is a big issue. I can see a little bit of a contrast issue with like the pink in her hair and maybe the blue of her shirt, just because value-wise they're very similar. But like color-wise, they contrast quite a bit. So I don't think you have to worry about contrast in that case. And yeah, and having the dark touches to kind of divide all the different pieces of the costume and her design, like I don't think you have to worry a whole lot about the contrast thing. I really like the brightness of the colors. It feels very like refreshing. Um, what else? I think you've also done a really good job at like keeping her shapes through all the turnarounds. Because I know you had trouble with one character who had like a tilted head thing going on in his pose. So it is. I think you've done a really good job with like keeping everything level, keeping her shapes through the whole turnaround. Like she feels really structured. Everything works in the whole turnaround. I think you've done a really good job with this one. I really like her shapes. I love her body shape. We love a thick girl. The side profile felt better to draw this time, definitely. And I wonder if it was because of the head tilt from the previous pose, where just like it was kind of making things feel weird, and this time having a more kind of head-on approach is really working for you. But yeah, everything feels balanced for this one. But yeah, we love a thick girl. Love the different body shapes you got going on. I love her spiky headband. Right? It's so cute. I want this. But yeah, overall, I think you've done a really good job. You may want to bring some blue into her bottom half, because she does have like the nice kind of balance between like the blue in her eyes and her shirt and her belt and stuff going on, but there's not so much blue kind of like in her skirt or in her legs or her boots. So maybe bringing in maybe some blue socks or some blue bands on the shoes, something like that could possibly help. It's just to kind of bring that blue through line. Okay. So yeah, let me know if you have any more questions. The first one is a character from the other comic I was working on about the guy who's on a quest to event. Oh, right, that one. Right, the characters. There was Alan and another guy. I can't remember the other guy's name. This is my original drawing of Minerva. A mother who, like Alan, is mourning a loss and tries to help Alan with his quest. Oh my god, before attempting to very wholesomely sacrifice him to the demon. Oh my god. I remember having trouble imagining what she was wearing since I have a set aesthetic for this. Since I don't have a set aesthetic for the comic. A general critique. The redraw is great. Okay, so my initial impressions from her clothing. So I think I remember looking at Alan and the other guy who I can't remember. Ezekiel, that's it. So looking at Alan and Ezekiel, they had a very like 80s aesthetic. I think part of it was just because of like the style coats they were wearing. It felt very 80s. I find looking at Minerva, her hairstyle, maybe not this one. Her hairstyle here seems like fine. Feels kind of more modern. But her hair for the other sketches, as well as her dress, design feel very it feels very old-fashioned. So like it feels very, her hair especially feels very like 40s 50s style, like those curls happening. Whereas this hairstyle feels a bit more like her hair is down and she's put on a bandana or something. But yeah, but the dress feels very old fashioned. I think it's the really high collar, and having it go like, looks like she's got some puffy sleeves at the top and then being like tight down to her wrists. It just feels very old fashioned. I want to go for old fashioned, I guess. Okay, so then I think that works. I definitely get like a vibe from her that she's like kind of stuck in older times where she's like stuck in the past and can't move forward. Also, she seems very like yeah, old fashioned, kind of dressed conservatively, if that makes sense. I like her crazy look. That's 10 out of 10. But yeah, but she looks very sweet, kind of like stuck in old ways, very outdated. And then clearly she goes a little unhinged and tries to sacrifice Alan to a demon. I think that's pretty spot on. Okay, awesome. I think you did a really good job then. I do like this other kind of dress you have going where she's got like, it's kind of like off the shoulder a little bit with the shorter sleeves. It looks like something you'd wear to like Sunday school. I kind of like it. I love her strict expressions. Yeah, I agree. She does have very expressive eyebrows. She looks like she's always kind of like sad. Which makes sense if she's mourning a loss the whole time. Trying to get Fade out.
Yeah, you reject.
Fade out.
No, it's fine.
Goodbye, Fade. Going upstairs, buddy.
Go upstairs.
Oh. Oh, Fabes. But yeah, I think. Yeah, I think I definitely really like her second hairstyle. It just feels more kind of old-fashioned. Like I said, that kind of 40s, 50s look. I think keeping that vibe, I think is a good idea. I think it really gets across that feeling of like really being stuck in the past. Because like, I guess my worry with this dress is like if the hair is very like 40s, 50s-y, this dress feels very like almost Victorian or turn in the century. Like it feels even more old fashioned than her hairstyle. I think that's my issue with it, where I feel like if say she's like, I'm just making wild guesses here. I could be totally wrong. But if she's like, if she grew up or suffered this loss kind of in her in this time period that she's kind of stuck in, like I'd recommend getting clothes that are very similar to what would be worn there. So like they did wear more conservative dresses and stuff, but maybe like toning down maybe the high collar and the sleeves and stuff would help. I think that's why I really like her off the shoulder dress, because that definitely feels a bit more 50s to me. Yeah, because I know in the 50s, like the grandmas would probably wear, and especially like maybe like I'm getting like country vibes from it too, having like this really old fashioned dress. I'll research some clothes for the redraw. I have to go now. Oh no, I'm sorry I didn't get to your last one. Okay, well you can come see the recording when we're done. Bye, Alice. I'll watch the rest later. Okay, cool. For the last one, this is Minerva in her demon form. Oh my god. Okay, I'm sending in my mini script next month, so hopefully this will make sense then. Basically, she lights on fire when channeling Rosgalex, that's the demon, power. I'm looking for a general critique of the redesign and thoughts on how each of Minerva's forms can be unique, but still clearly the same character. Okay. Obviously, I think the dress really works. I like how it's singed at the bottom. It feels very like in the demon form. She's channeling the demon's power. Okay, I do feel like I like how it kind of like breaks her free. Like she's got this very modest design previously, but then in this one, like the skirt gets shorter, like the sleeves come off. It's obviously slipping down and showing some cleavage. Like I like the big separation between like how she normally is and then this demon form. Okay, so she has charred scales. Yeah, it definitely feels like yeah, I like the big jump between the very modest version of her and then this more kind of demon-y version. Looking between the two, I kind of wish there was more of her style brought in. Like obviously she's got the dress, but I feel like her, I mean, and she's got the face shape, like she's got those cheekbones. But like I'd be interested in seeing maybe like because she seems to have very like prominent lipstick, for example. There's her hairstyle that's very like unique. I'd be interested in seeing those more in her face and head, but like transformed a little bit into this fiery version, just to have a little bit more of that through line with like this is still her body, but she's channeling a fire demon through it, whereas this feels like her body feels the same and it's like channeling the demon, but I don't feel like it's coming through exactly in her face quite as well. I really like the like exposed teeth at the sides. I think that'll be interesting. I'd especially like to see like how it looks like when she opens the mouth, like just the whole jaw open and unhinged, because that's really creepy and cool. I think this might just be from the sketch, but I think the feet need like a little more of that scale detail. And I really like the shoulder stuff going on here where you've got these like arcing flames coming off, and I'd be interested in seeing that kind of pulled through the rest of the design a little bit. Like maybe like you have it a little bit coming off like her elbows and forearms and stuff, but I think it needs to come through in the legs a little bit more as well. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so I think just it needs to come through a little bit more in like her face and hair, and maybe some more of that kind of like fiery detail on the rest of her body. Yeah. I think you can also, you have it a little bit here, but I think you could really do some interesting things with like the singed edges of the clothing. Like you could do some really cool like patterns and stuff. Like I don't know how to describe it, but you know that look from like they'll do it in cartoons and anime and stuff. They'll have like the bottom of a ripped coat, it'll have like little Swiss cheese holes in it, and it'll be all like ragged and jagged and stuff. It'd be cool to see that kind of effect because it mimics the shape of the fire that you've drawn. So maybe just bringing in some of the fire shapes in the clothing as well to show that transformation. Yeah, hopefully that is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, Alice, when you watch this back. I'm happy to answer on Discord. So yeah, there we go. Do you want to go, Bones? Okay, we'll let Bones go. Clad! Clad, we need you! By the way, these images are not Clad's.
Hello? Oh my goodness. Hello? I don't know where the chat is. Oh, I see it. Hi guys. It's Bones McKay. I think I should do face cam. Yeah, there we go. So I'm doing the writing critiques for scripts and things, right? Okay. So Lazy Bones? LZ Bones? Is Bones? Oh. I'm reading too much into things. Right. So I read Clad's work, and I wanted to make sure Clad is actually here, so I'm stalling. My face hurts. Can you tell I have like a pimple right there? Ugh, it's so painful. I hate having mouth pimples, cause like then you can't talk. And yesterday I couldn't talk because I hurt my throat. I don't know if Clad's here. Clad. Clad, are you here? Are you here to hear about writing and such? Do you like Ursula's wife shirt? For she is a wife. I hate having eye pimples. Oh, those suck too. Anything on the ear pimples, those suck. I guess I have another one here. I'm just really pimply and disgusting. Actually, I'm not disgusting. There's nothing wrong with having pimples. Everyone has them. I hate eyebrow ones. Ugh. Ugh. I hate those really deep ones that you can't even pop. They're just like so painful, and it's like an inch around them. It's like a circle. Are you here with us? It's like a seance. It is. I swore I saw a Clad. I think Ursula is contacting them. In her nose ones? Ugh. I hate ones where they rest on my glasses, because then I can't wear glasses for a week while they recover. I should get better at makeup, and then I can like cover up and feel a little less bad. Eye pimples, I've never had one, but they sound blinding. It's like the ones on your eyelids. It's like really thin skin too, which is extra annoying. I hate the ear ones because again, it's thin skin. It's like a very thin layer of skin above cartilage, so they are so painful. This one that I have right now should like I don't know if Clad's here. I have to wait. Okay. I guess we just had a little Bones talks about pimples session. Goodbye everyone. Sketchy Bagel is here. I guess Ursula will have to do Sketchy. Is there all Sketchy left? No, there's two more. Because one of you submitted in the middle of the critiquing. I noticed. I will plop these up for Ursula. My goodness. I think for next stream, you need to get your submissions in 24 hours before the stream actually begins, because Ursula has to get everything together. Okay, I'll leave, because clearly Clad is not here anymore.
Yeah, I messaged them, Okay. Bye, Bones. Sorry, just sending the message to Clad so they don't come running thinking they missed their crit. Okay, so I could look at sketchy, I could look at call sorry, Cole or V, or battle box. I'll get it in sooner next time. Okay, I appreciate that. I just need time to like look at them and formulate thoughts on them is all. That's just why we ask for them beforehand. So yeah, who would like to go next? Whomst. If not, I will volunteer sketchy. Mean. Oh. Oh yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it, sketchy. You appeared. Okay. Number 1, Cactus Gang. I've been trying to work on shape language and silhouette for my designs lately, so I've done I love some critique on that, as well as what you think of their personalities. They're supporting cast for a smaller comic idea. Okay. So, I'll do a quick rundown of what I think their personalities are. So I think Prick, what a name. Prick seems very angry, small angry. Seems like a warrior type. Maybe it's just the 2 like stalks coming off the back. But my brain was like, that's like a ninja mask. Like Ninja Turtles. Like I was like, they must be like a ninja. I think that is just from the 2 stalks that feel like a tied bandana or a mask or something. But yeah, they seem fighty. I think I also get it from the little shoulder juts, because it's like the little shoulder patty guys. Shoulders of a warrior. I've never seen it like that. But yeah, but they basically seem like very small, very fighty. And a little bit like Sundare, like angry, but like with a heart of gold or whatever, or actually secretly sweet. But yeah, I love the expression. They look ready to throw down with those clenched fists. As for Spid or Spide, they seem like the mom of the group. Seems very like nurturing, very sweet. He's angry because he cares. But yeah, Spin seems very lovable, very sweet. And yeah, I think I get the caring vibe. I wonder if it's partly just because of the flowers appearing. Where my brain goes nurturing. So I don't know. That could be my own bias. But yeah, but they seem very sweet and very bubbly. And as for Redcap, they seem like the leader, or they also give off like Shimbo lesbian vibes, like the quiet kind of tough one of the group. You'd want a hug from Spid, but at what cost? Exactly. I feel like Spid would offer hugs, and they're like, wait, no. But Redcap has very, again, kind of warrior vibes. I really like how you've used the red parts to kind of simulate like armor, and gloves and stuff. I think that's really cool. And there's toughness to how they look, because they're covered in scars and stuff, and a little slash across their eye, which signifies like tough, don't mess with me. But there's something like soft in their expression. I think it's the eyes, where they just seem like serious but not like mean. Like they're not gonna fight you like Prick is gonna fight you. But yeah, so those are my impressions. So let's see. Sorry, I need some more water. So, as for the shape language and silhouette, so the silhouettes are all very distinct. I think you've done a really good job with that. I like how you've utilized like the different like flowers and I love all your headcanons in the chat. Brick looks like they go for my ankles. But I like how you've used the different kind of aspects of the cactuses to make, I guess, like their different outfits and different shapes and stuff. Like you used it to make armor and like hair and all that good stuff. I think you've done a really good job with that. I like how you can tell a lot about them from their shape. So like Prick, I mean, besides having like a very angry expression, like looks like really jagged, really sharp. Like the spines are more kind of dense compared to say like Spid. And sorry, distracted by chat. You're talking about Fairy Lore, and I'm like, hello, I'm here. The spines are more dense. I think it's just a very good way to show kind of their personality through their shapes. Whereas Spid is a lot more like round shapes. They're very like made of squares, like very rounded kind of soft squares, which feels very like very sweet, very sturdy. They give the impression of like being very supportive. And I think for Redcap, I think it's all the kind of not triangular, but like there's something about like the shapes, like they're very slender. There's like triangle language going on, and like not hexagons, but that kind of shape going on. Prick is supposed to be a child preteen age. Do you think they pass as that, or should I make them more baby? Yeah, I might make them look a bit more young, just because like Prick just seems like a small person who's like the same age as the other characters. So you need something to kind of signify that they're younger. I'm not sure what that could be. It could be just like changing up the features, maybe like a bigger head and like a smaller body type thing. But yeah, I also read them as a small adult. But the shapes of Redcap are also very telling of their personality. Like it feels kind of triangular, which gives like a kind of dangerous look, but they're also kind of soft edged, which makes them seem kind of nicer. I could keep them as an adult though. Oh yeah, it's totally up to you. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions on that. Moving on. These are some rough sketches of the main character of said smaller comic idea. Her name is Mirai. Just a general critique of her design and outfits would be great. The first outfit is what she wears for the majority of the story, which takes place in her dream where she's traveling through the desert. This outfit gets more tattered as she travels. The second one are her street clothes when she's awake, which is only at the beginning and end of the comic. Okay. Pardon me. Again, I really like her shapes. I like how squat she is. Like, she seems very sturdy and, reliable. I like how you've based, she seems very based on squares. I think it could be brought out a bit more in her hair, like maybe making her waves a bit more boxy would help. I like the, like her bangs going on here. Like, that feels right. Like, her bangs and kind of like, this kind of area, like close to her head, but I find as her hair goes down, it kind of loses that square feel to it. So maybe just changing the shape of the waves or the shape of the hair a little bit might help. But I like the boxes going through her design, like with her bag and the hems of her shorts. I love her body. Like, I love it so much. It's just so nice. It's such like a cute design. Heck. But I like her. She's I think the only thing that feels really out of place in her designs is like the tie on her traveling outfit. Just because like the rest of her style doesn't have these really thin lines to it. And it feels a little distracting. I think that could be fixed by just adding some weight to the string that's like holding her shirt closed. Like making it thicker, like these drawstrings on her hoodie. She's hero shaped. But just adding maybe some more like width to the tie would really help, or maybe using boxier shapes for the bow, something like that. Just because like there's nothing else that's really like thin and delicate on her design, so it stands out quite a bit. And I think you could maybe also bring in the circles a little bit more. Because she has like little pins and circles and stuff, and like her jeans button and stuff that matches her bracelet. Oh, Clad's here. Okay, I'll finish up sketchy stuff and then Bones can go. But yeah, just bringing in some more circles for this outfit. It could be studs on the satchel. It could be, I don't know, buttons on her shirt, something like that, just to bring in those circles a little bit more. But yeah, overall, I really like her. 10 out of 10. I also like the similarities between the outfits. Like, I like how she's got the little line on her boots and her shoes. 10 out of 10. I'm here. Oh yeah, we're good. So yeah, I just need to look at Sketchy's last submission, and then Bones can come in and do your script. Okay, so yeah, Sketchy, let me know if you have any questions about this one. I'm happy to answer. Okay. You don't need to assess all of these designs. I'm just questioning Artemis's design, the top right corner. Okay. At first, she had big puffy cloud-like hair, but I changed it to a braid to fit better with her uptight perfectionist attitude. But ever since I've done that, she's lost the cloud shape her silhouette always had. I was wondering if you had any suggestions for her hair clothes to push her silhouette. Her main shapes are crescent moons and diamond-shaped stars. Okay. Okay, so looking at Artemis here. So I really like, I think you've got a really good balance between the crescent shapes and the little star shapes. Like, I love how it's in her sleeves and like on her shirt. Like, dang, I think you've done a really cool creative job with her costume. Yeah, I would agree that her hair does feel a little out of place compared to her body. And I think, I think it's missing that kind of rounded cloud shape. I wonder, because she is uptight. So could you do something with like an updo? So whether that's like maybe a big bun on the back of her head or the top. I feel like you could, because I feel like you could go two ways with it. I feel like you could either go, sorry, I think I have to sneeze. Oh no. Okay, so you could either go with like a really tight updo, or she could have like, she could let her hair down and it could be very like curly and cloud like and fluffy, but she's always has it like perfect. Like it never looks like out of place. And like she always like steps out like she's just come off like a model shoot. Or I think you could get that really big kind of cloudy look that really matches her silhouette. Or you could do like a really round bun on top and then maybe get the crescents in through her bangs and stuff. Like I really like right here with the one kind of side of her bangs covering her eye and the little like crescents coming into her face. I think that works really well. I find the crescents coming off here a little bit distracting, just because for the rest of her design the crescents are very like inward going inward directioned, which gives that really round that rounded look, whereas I find if they're switched and they're facing outward, it really clashes with the rest of her design. So I would recommend having everything kind of come inwards, and I think you can get that kind of cloudy look. I can toy with the bun. Yeah, something like that. It could be multiple buns depending on like kind of the hairstyles of your world. It doesn't have to necessarily just be one. But yeah, give that a try. I think you could also keep the long braid. But I think what might be tripping you up is those crescents kind of sticking out, because they kind of go against like the rest of her design. Also, it's cool seeing all the characters after I read the script. I always love when you guys like submit scripts and then I see designs and then comic pages. Like, I love it. It's so cool. Okay. So yeah, Sketchy, let me know if you have any more questions. Okay, Bonds, we need you. So Clad, you didn't miss it. We waited for you. So Bones is here to do your critique.
Should have looked for Fado before you swept back.
No, you're right. I should have.
He's been putting his head under your wheels. Hey, what's up? I'm back. Gross noises. Face cam. Oh, it's me. Hello. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about scripts. So I read Clad's scripts. It was called something. I don't have it in front of me. It was Godwell. Oh, the name's starting to make sense to me, even if that's not the name. It's God something. I am a very talented writer, so this is high quality critique that you are Oh, your husband's birthday? I think it's someone else's birthday. They mentioned that we were doing critique stream on their birthday. So happy birthday to all those who have been born. Um, right. So I read your script. I found the opening scene. I can really imagine it. Very striking images. Got some really big energy, some epic energy, as it were. Godfall. Okay, yeah, okay, that makes sense based on the plot of it. Um, right. So it's the very opening scenery and stuff. I think was very strong. Um, I can very visualize this comic, and I'm very excited to see how it will play out. I think you write your scripts in a very visual way, which is really nice. It definitely feels like I'm reading a comic that is supposed to be a comic, and not like somebody's RP or somebody's like novel. It feels like a comic, so you got that. I'm proud of you there. There is some things that you mentioned, like you wouldn't be sure if like readers would get them. Um, like when referring to like mortality, you were like, uh, this person is a single moment, and I think that's really strong. I think people are gonna get that. Like you said, like English isn't your first language, I think. And I could definitely feel there was like some odd ways of phrasing things, but it almost kind of worked because there's sort of like this old fantasy medievalish setting, so kind of like the not awkwardness, but like not not exactly like exactly how like you typically phrase things. Like I didn't find it too bothersome. It just felt like fantasy talk, honestly. I see everything in movie format before I get to write it down. That's good. I can tell there's definitely that essence to your scripting, which I think is very good. It's very visual, which sometimes I find comic scripts are not so. So you did good there. I really like the ideas. Um, like it has a very it feels like the kind of plot that is about a I'm literally just gonna say the plot, but like it feels very much like an old story, or like that ancient hero's journey kind of thing. Feels very Hercules so far, and I like that. Um, I like some of the magical elements. I'm very interested in the world, and yeah, like I think a lot of that is really strong. Um, where I think there's a struggle is your story. It feels very much like your outline and your plot are moving your story forward rather than your characters. And it also feels very quick. Looking at kind of the structure of your story based on like what you've told me, oh yeah, I was going for Hercules. Yeah, I can definitely feel that kind of inspiration in it. Um, Looking at your story, you start off with these twins, and you start off with their mother dying, and that then her death ends up being the catalyst of their adventure. And I found that a lot of these scenes sort of felt out of place, especially given like once I understood like the full scope of the story, that it's them going on kind of an adventure together. So I felt like the very opening and showing kind of the epic scope of things, that very movie style opening was very strong, but I think you move too quickly into the plot point of like you immediately start and there's immediately the big issue that is going to be the inciting incident. And I think you need to take some more time with your main characters, like the two twins, and kind of build them up a lot strongerly. Sorry. Like you have like what is essentially a very standard opening, which is you have a very strong inciting incident. So like you get to the inciting incident where their mom dies, and now they're thrown into adventure. And the fact that you gave me your allotted, like, how much time, how many pages you want your story to be, you want like a 350 kind of page thing, like typically you're gonna reach your inciting incidents and a little bit of the fallout of that about a quarter into the story, so like 90 pages in. So like using that kind of as a diagnostic sort of tool to look at things, it definitely felt I used to let the characters drive the story, but was trying hard to do the 3 act story structure. I do feel the characters are not feeling deep enough. Yeah, like looking at this 3 act story structure, it does feel like you have a very good structure there, but it happens too fast. Like you're like 30 pages into this story that's going to be 300 pages, so a little under 90. Like dividing that, like somewhere like 70-80 is when you'd hit it. So like that's not like an end all be all. Like you don't always have to hit the ratios, but when you're feeling like there's an issue with the story structure, like you're feeling like you're missing out on something, it can be good to look at it and be like, okay, this should be the first quarter of the story, and you're reaching the inciting incident like way too fast. And like that's definitely what I felt. Like I think it would be really advantageous to take time to build up these bratty kids, because you have like one scene of them being bratty, and then you very quickly move into them losing their mom and like moving into the adventure. Like I think you need to take some time to really establish the normal before you destroy everything, if that makes sense. Sorry, structure was getting really hard to incorporate with the idea I had. I think you're like I personally think like it's very strong. Okay, give me some more time. So give time for character development motivation. I was worried that the reader would be bored or confused if it was not shown early enough. If what wasn't shown early enough, like I think, like going back to like things that I thought was cool, like I thought the interactions between these two like half gods, so like demigods, I think is the phrase usually, but like having these two demigods interacting with just humans and being crappy, like I thought that was a really interesting dynamic, and I don't think you have to shy away and feel like that's boring. I think that really brings out their character. I thought it was kind of unique to have kind of crappy characters being little butt heads. Like I'm fine with that. Like I think it would actually be pretty interesting. I didn't find the story all that confusing. Not shown early enough, the main conflict. Okay, no, I think you're gonna end up confusing people and boring people a lot more if they don't get some time to really get to know the characters. Like I find people will stick around for the main conflict and stuff because of the characters, and I felt a little detached from them when their mom died, because I didn't really have any attachment to their relationship with their mom. I didn't really understand how they felt about their mom, because they didn't really interact with her all that much. So it was difficult to see like how that would affect them, I guess. Not shown early enough to main conflict. I don't know how early to let the main themes show through. Um, like, theme can be kind of difficult. Um, I think going back after you write things and really smoothing it out will help a lot more, because like you haven't fully outlined the story, and like moving theme first, you'll tend to kind of I tend to end up making things a little boring and like hard to follow when I focus purely on theme very first. I think the theme really exists in your characters. Like I can definitely see what you're going for. Like I just think you should delve into these characters a bit more. And like I think what you have plans, like I'm not going to spoil anything, but like I think the overall idea is like very strong, and I think setting up how opposite they are at the beginning of the story versus how you want them to be at the end should be like sort of your main focus. Because if you're writing a coming of age story, so like you need to lead a little more with these two characters, because the way that you have it set up right now is it's very very focused on like your opening is very very focused on the mom and dad, and rather than the kids, and the way that that's set up makes it feel like it's going to be a story about the mom and dad. And as I read through it, I was like, oh, it's about these kids. So I think you if you want to tell a story about these kids growing up, you really need to frame it in a way where you're like, okay, this this is what these characters are like right now. You know, this is how they relate to their mom. This is how they relate to their dad. And then this horrible thing happens, and they're forced to like kind of reconsider their lot in life, because right now they're just happy being crappy, basically. And then, yeah. And I know you were worried about the dad seeming really bad. I don't think he does. I think it's understandable, and I think given the fact that you have this very god setup, like as someone who reads mythology and stuff, like the dad is super nice. Like what I expect from gods is way meaner than the dad was, honestly. I thought the sheep was enough, but it's not. Um, I really like the scene with the sheep. The issue is that it came after all of the stuff with the dad and the mom already, like, because it kind of opens and it's like, oh, she's dying. So I'm not surprised when they get back and she's dying, you know? Um, I and like yes, I think the interaction with how they are with the village was good. I think you might need to do a little more with the village and more about how they kind of fit in with it, and a little more of how they fit in with their family before you move into the larger conflict. Um, yeah, like honestly, like if I was going to rework this personally, I would have the opening scene to kind of like show, not necessarily, okay, I would have the mountain statue or whatever that was. I'm sorry, I'm not remembering the visual entirely. I would have that, and then I'd move straight to the village. Like I wouldn't focus your first scene on interactions between like the mother and dad. I would just go straight into these kids with the sheep, because it was a very strong scene, and it immediately sets up, oh, these are half gods. And then I would just follow the kids more. Like I would follow them through the village, and then eventually to their parents, and like their immaturity and their self-centeredness to not have noticed. Like I'm not entirely sure why they didn't really like realize their mom was dying, um like entirely, but like I'd move into that after, because once you get to the mom dying and them freaking out about it, you're moving into you're moving into act 2 at that point. So like take some time, explore their relationships a little more, and also I think once their mom died, it was very quick to moving into them burning the village down, and I just needed like a little more time to like understand where they were like mentally, because I didn't quite follow like um uh I didn't quite follow it like I didn't quite understand how much they understood about death as a concept, I think is the best way to put it. Um, Also, another thing, like if you want it to be very clear that they didn't kill anyone in the village, I wouldn't have them holding their weapons up in anger. I think as soon as they start like going for their weapons, it felt like they were gonna kill people. So the fact that they just were burning stuff, like, yeah, I'd be careful with that. I would either like not have them do it or have them throw their weapons down before you cut the scene, because having them pull up their weapons and then you cut the scene, it very much is visual storytelling for, yeah, they murdered people, but I don't want to show that. Yeah. So like I might have them pick up their weapons, throw them down, and then just have their emotions start burning the village or whatever, but people are fine. But I wouldn't cut away from it without making it clear what they're actually doing. Okay, no weapons, got it. Yeah. Do you have any other questions? I think that those were like my main opinions on all of that. Dang, these murder kids. They're not murder kids. They wouldn't do a murder. Yeah, but they do have like I can tell they have zero respect for human existence. Oh, you know what? Another part of that, I think, if you're worried about the dad seeming like crappy as a dad, I think having him tell his kids early on, before the mom dies and before they burn down the village, like is like if he tells them to stop being crappy to the village and they are dismissive of it, I think later on when he banishes them, it'll make it'll feel more like a consequence for their actions, because they were told by their dad not to do that, and now they're doing it despite what they learned previous. Like they didn't learn, they obviously don't care, and like it gives them slightly more agency, because they could have chose not to be crappy to the village, but they did it despite. And yeah, the dad kind of sucks because clearly they're grieving and not in control, but he's also grieving and not in control. So like the banishment might make a little more sense if they have been told. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I think that's all I got to say. Ursula has a few more, right? You're done sketchies, right? Yep. I should close these ones. Oh heck, you got 3 more to do. Oh my gosh, it's a busy stream day.
We might have to split it into 2.
In the future, yeah. Well, that's why we need to know earlier on how many of you there are.
Yeah. Oof. Okay.
Long day.
Fluff's in my hair. Okay. Oh my god, it's already 4:20. Goodness gracious. We do be critiquing all day. That's fine. In the future, if we get this many submissions, we'll probably split it up into 2 streams. I knew this day would come. I knew the day would come where we'd need more more streams to accommodate everyone.
We also need an elite an elite category for one-on-one sessions.
Elite.
Much more expensive.
Yes. True. Okay. So, thick stream. Wait till I finish my poo-poo comic. Okay, I don't think I've seen Cole or V, so I'm gonna hop over to Box Cat. And look at your stuff since I know you're here. Similar. Okay, oh my god. Too zoomed. Too much zoom. There we go. Oh, thank you. We've started using a camera. You can see our cute little faces the more often. Okay. You're here? Okay, perfect. Mag is like, hello? Is the stream over? Okay. Okay, so I made Yuki and Leon's outfits. In this critique, I'm looking for your opinion on the color choice, but what the outfits say about the person they represent. I took too long doing this. Mood. Okay. So for Yuki, I like it. I like how he has this, he has like a more professional look and then like a more laid back look. Also, listen, this is such a mood when I'm just like being a little gremlin around my house. I just push all my hair back. But when I have to like go on calls and stuff, I'm like, I will brush my bangs for once. So I relate. Also, I love the cat. Listen. But yeah, so I like his more kind of professional look where he's wearing like slacks and a shirt. He still seems like kind of relaxed. Like he's not wearing like a full out like suit type, but he's still like dressing up professionally. I like his muted color palette. It says that like he's not very flashy. He Metagal's critique, she'd be crying in the background. It feels very like very laid back, like very not muted, but like neutral. Like he's not flashy. He doesn't dress in a flashy way. But still dresses professionally. And yeah, and I like how there's that through line through all of the outfits where like even if in his pajamas, which seem to be like the most like colorful of his outfits, they're still kind of like a very kind of neutral blue. It's a little not washed out, but you know, more neutralized. He's a main character and likes to be in the background. Totally. Like he totally dresses like he just wants to like fit in, not stand out. And yeah, and he likes to be comfy. I love the cat. Cries over cute cats. But yeah, I also love the expressions and stuff. I especially like this little illustration where he's sitting with the coffee and there's a little heart note on it because it looks like some cutie just gave him a coffee and he's like looking at their little butt while they walk away. And yeah, I like it. Again, there's something about your work that is just so like crisp that I really love. I think it's just like the quality of like your lines and like the really kind of like even though you're using like really neutral tones, there's something very clean about your colors, which is really interesting. What is your secret? How did you know? But yeah, these are great. Okay. So let me know if you have any questions or if I didn't catch anything there. For Leon. Okay, so. Oh my god. Okay, so he definitely seems a little bit more flashy. I think I noticed this last time in his previous designs. Guess you missed tweakers, baby. I think I noticed this in the last time you showed off Leon. Is like he seems very like classy and very professional, but also has like a laid back style. So like I like how he has like, is that a handkerchief? I think so, a handkerchief or something in his pocket. But I like how he's got the full suit, but he's taken the suit jacket off, and he's slung it over his shoulder. His like collar is open. He hasn't even tucked in his shirt. Like he is so laid back. But I can tell that he can dress up if he needs to, which is interesting. I would recommend, this is just like, you know what, I won't fault you, I won't make you change it if you like it and it works for the story, because this is a romance type and he's like the love interest guy. But he probably would have an undershirt, especially wearing a white dress shirt. But you know what, this is romance land, it's fine. Just because like if I was because I work at before, in the before times when I worked in an office, if any of my coworkers like had their shirt open and there was an undershirt, I'd be like, oh, what are we doing? But yeah. Oh, it's a tie. Oh, that makes sense. Oops. But yeah. So he can definitely dress up, but I like how laid back he is. Undershirts are for plebs. Fair. You know what? It's romance land. It's fine. But yeah, I also like the little red through line in his designs. Like I like how he's got the red tie and then the red towel and sneakers and stuff for his little outfits. Show Bobby. It's very office appropriate. Totally. I can see he's more comfortable not wearing a shirt. Like, or undershirts common, I didn't realize. It is in kind of like corporate world. Like, it's basically you wear them if you're wearing like a dress shirt that maybe is like a little bit see-through. It's also just in case when you sit down and your shirt buttons like go all wobbly. It's like sometimes like, you know, like the opening between buttons kind of opens. You don't want to be seeing like bare chest underneath. That's a little unprofessional, but but yeah, but that's in, you know, the real world. In romance, they can be busting out of their shirts all they want. But yeah, so I like how, I like the difference between Leon and Yuki, where Yuki's very like, you know, always wearing a shirt, covers up, whereas kind of more like loose, comfy clothes, where Leon's more, you know, when he's working out, he's hanging out without a shirt. You know, he's sleeping shirtless, stuff like that. Like I like how he's more comfortable, kind of like, not wearing like baggy clothes and stuff. And I do like how he kind of dresses up, but it's also kind of casual. Yeah. But yeah, I also like his pose. It's very, very cash. 10 out of 10. I also like his little ponytail. His little ponytail at the back. It's very good. But yeah, overall, really good job. Like I said, I like the colors. I don't know what you do. It's magical. But they're just so clean. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions about that. Okay, so I've improved the comic page from the last time a little bit. I've added to the beginning to make it more clear. So as to what it is they are holding. Okay, it's far from done. I've been too busy procrastinating. Listen, same. And a few extra panels were added. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me know if the extra panels added to it or if it was better before. Okay. 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 I feel like that first scene makes a bit more sense. Because I remember being a bit confused as to why he was upset. But I get that now. That would be weird if you were given a sketchbook and it's full of pictures of you and you're like, excuse me? I did not make these. That would be creepy. So yeah, so now I understand the distress a bit more. I still love this panel. It's so relatable. Just those group meetings where you're just coming up with ideas and you're like, oh, what if this? Or you're just dying of tired. Thank you for critiquing it even though it was last time. Oh, don't worry. You didn't know. I just feel bad because now I'm making these long pauses because I'm like reading it over. Okay, so is he given more work? Okay. Oh, I like that. That's such a cute ending. Good luck. Goodbye. But yeah, I think what you've added to the beginning, just that little extra bit, unless it was there and I've totally forgotten. But yeah, but just that little extra explanation of kind of like why he's upset really helps out with understanding what's going on in his little dream sequence. I like the added bit of the editor bringing his present. I love the reactions. I think you've got a good balance between doing like more kind of serious shots and expressions and then doing kind of like little cute versions for like comedic effect. And I think you've got like I think I felt this way the last time I looked at these pages was like you got a good variety of like showing like groups and what's going on in the room. I mean, obviously not in the dream sequence because it's like it's a dream, but in the office setting. It could just be that you're in the sketch version, but I'd recommend for establishing shots like this, adding in like some more background elements more than just the table. But again, this could be a sketch and you're fully intending to do that. But like, I don't know, adding in shelves or other desks or a window or something. Yeah, because I can see in here you've got some background details like the floor and the it looks like a window or a board or something, like a whiteboard. I added to the beginning and the end. Yeah. But yeah, I like this ending. With him looking at the papers. I feel like it sets up some good kind of like conflict coming up. Sorry. Yawn. But yeah, it's setting up some good relationship and conflict coming up. But yeah, I'd also be careful about these big kind of empty swaths. Again, this could be that it's a sketch and I'm just like digging into you for no reason. But like in this panel in particular, there's like a big empty space where you could put the speech bubble in it. That could help. Or just some kind of background elements or like the floor texture, maybe not the floor texture, that might still feel kind of empty, but just like maybe extending the table out so it kind of fills the space a little bit more. It just feels a little empty is all. Adding more background elements later in the process. Okay, I figured. But yeah, just be wary of the empty space. But yeah, overall, looks really good. I hope that is helpful. Do you have any other questions about it, Battlebox? Or Boxcat? What's better, Battlebox or Boxcat? Oh, pretty mean. I also like what you've done with the kind of gradient backgrounds, showing like the dream sequence. I think that's a really nice touch, especially as it gets kind of like dreamy and stuff down here. Call me Battlebox? Okay. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer some more. If not, I'll move on to Cole, and then we'll end with V's. Okay. So, Cole, I was wondering if you think the shading is looking any better on these, and your overall thoughts on the composition. I have no other questions, though. I'll be lining this panel for next stream. Oh, hell yeah. Designing backgrounds for your comics is so time consuming. Yes, it is true. Okay. If you think the shading is better on these and the overall thoughts of their composition. Okay. So, cool. I'll start with the space one. So, compositionally, I really like these. I think for this one, the central character could fill the space a bit more. I find, because like you do have elements going on in the top, like with this monster coming in, and this monster coming in from below, but I find that the main subject, so like this space girl, like she's very far down at the bottom. You might want to like bring her up or like make her a little bit bigger so she fills the space a little bit more. There's just quite a bit of like negative space that doesn't feel like it's doing much. So I'd recommend that. I think you've got a lot of great movement going on in the piece. Like, I love the expressions. I love the poses. I think it's just the position of the character and the position of this monster. Because, like, if I look closely, I can tell the monster's coming up behind her, but it looks kind of like it's already grabbed a hold of her and it's, like, attacking her from below. I think part of that is because like we don't see any background except for sky or space, so she could just be like floating in space right now, or she could be standing on a moon or a planet or something. I'm not sure. But I think it's just because of the way her leg kind of curves down this way, and then the monster's like right behind it and kind of flush against this pocket here. It's like, it's just hard to tell, and especially because the monster disappears behind her and you don't see it coming out the other side showing like behind. It looks like it's grabbed a hold of her and is like wrapping around her legs. So I think that could be helped by like expanding the monster more so that there's more overlap shown, because right now it's creating a bit of like tangent type thing. Or a major merger, whichever one. I think there's also a lot of blur effect going on a lot of this. I find the only place that isn't blurred is like the alien friend's face and her face, whereas like everything else is very blurred out. I thought initially it was only blurred on the monsters until I took a closer look, and I thought maybe it was like to imply that they're like moving really quickly. But I find it's a little distracting. I think you can turn down the blur effect a little bit, and that'll really kind of help things feel like they're on the same plane. I do like, however, the kind of vignette effect that the blurring has, where your attention really goes to her face and her alien friend because it's the only thing that's like in focus. I think what you could do is adding blur to the one up top could make it feel like kind of like a lens focus effect where it feels like we're focusing on her and the monster behind her, like making those like less blurred, and then having the one in the foreground is blurred, so it looks like the camera's focusing behind it, and then it's not in focus, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, June says the blur on the stars is fine. I agree. I think that's fine. It makes them feel like they're out of focus. They're in the distance. I didn't have a problem with that. I think it's just on the main characters and the monsters feels like a bit too much. So you can play around with that, with like creating kind of like a field of depth with a lens by using blur. But yeah, I'd be careful about using it too much. Okay. Color-wise, I think you're doing a really good job of not darkening things as much, because I know we've talked about before using like black and gray for shadows, where I feel like you're getting a bit brighter with some of these colors. I think the shadows here are a little bit dark. I feel like it kind of works because they're in space. I don't know why. I think you've just got something going on with like the sky and the shadows here that really kind of works. But I think you're also getting a bit more vibrant in your shadows as well, which is helping. Let me see the monsters, bro. But yeah, this is looking great. I really like her face and her expression. I find... Huh? No, I'm good. I got lots of water. Yeah. I think the only thing color-wise that you might want to change would be the red of the monsters. I feel like you either need to push it more, where there's more of that kind of like really warm red. I guess it's not entirely warm, but that red shade opposed to like a very purpley red, because the rest of the composition is very like purple and blue. Like I think you either need to bring more of the red of the monsters in elsewhere, so whether that's like in the background or bringing some more kind of warm red tones into the character, or you need to cool down the monsters and make them a bit more kind of purpley. Not entirely purple, but you know, like a purpley red. Oh, you have to go, oh, bye, Battle Box. Right, just bring more of that cool color so that it kind of matches the rest of the image. Because right now they don't quite feel like they're in the same, like the light's not affecting them the same way, if that makes sense. So yeah, hopefully this all makes sense. Cool, let me know if you have questions on Discord. Okay, for this one, I think you got the colors matching, like, down. Like, you did a really good job with, making the colors all really cohesive. Like, I like how you have a nice contrast color going on, because most of the composition, it is like purples and blues. It's very cool. And then you have these warm yellows kind of going on where the main focus is. I think compositionally speaking, the focal point could be moved up. I find the girl who's out in space to be in like the perfect position to be the focal point, like her face is. But because this guy who's inside the spaceship is also part of the focal point, I feel like it needs to just be moved up a little bit. So like maybe moving everything to be like up here a bit, so she'd be here and he would be here, just to make sure that things aren't kind of squished down into the corner of the composition. Bringing everything up into like one of the main thirds would really help out. Make things feel a little less crammed down at the bottom. But fantastic work with the colors. I also like how you've used the blur again to create this kind of vignette focus. I think it works more with this one because the focus is really on her face and everything that's close to the window, and then him through the window. So having that stuff in focus and the rest is blurred, I think it works, especially because like it feels kind of like the light of the window is kind of bringing focus to her, where like the rest of space is very hazy, which is a really cool effect. And I think you've done a really good job. I think it just needs to be moved up into the focal point a little bit. Yeah, great work with the colors, because like even though you have like these greens and blues up here, like they still feel color matched to everything else going on in the composition. So yeah, that's fantastic. I might also add in some blurred out details behind the guy, maybe to show the inside of the spaceship, just like if you wanted to add some more detail, but I don't know. I don't think you have to. But this looks fantastic. Great work with the colors. I love the vibrancy of the color of the shadows. Like you're clearly not using like gray and stuff in the colors. You are a little bit in this hair here, but I feel like it works because you've got these like really nice bright yellows and oranges in her hair. And then it's really cool to see that like the stark dark shadow kind of like at the back of her head where the light from the window isn't shining. So I think you did a really good job with this one, color-wise. I also like how it gets like more blurred the farther away she is from the window. It's just so good. Yeah, fantastic job with the colors. Just some slight composition tweaks. And finally, I really love this one. I think you did a fantastic job with the colors. Like this one was maybe one of the first ones I saw. And I was just like, you did such a good job with not making the shadows all gray. Especially like on the owl here, where like, oh my God. I love right here. Like on this little wing here. Like, I think you've done a great job with having this, like, really soft shadow and still, like, creating forms in the wings, the shape of the head. You got some, like, subtle highlights and shadows, like, here on the fluff, the feathers down here on the chest. Like, this is fantastic work. You did a really great job with, like, modeling the forms. You're using really saturated shadows. Like, it just looks so good and cute. I also love the owl. He's so cute with those little eyebrows. But yeah, all the colors are really like harmonized. I love just like the yellows and the greens you've pulled in, and they work really well with the reds and the oranges. And like you've matched like the yellow of the leaves to like his beak and his eyes, and the orange of his feathers to like the leaves and stuff. It's just, you've done a really great job with the colors here. I think, again, the blurring effect feels like it's a little bit too much. I think it works for the background because it feels very far away. And I do think it's an interesting effect to have the focus be on his face and have everything kind of blur out from there. I'd recommend... you can use the blur effect on, say, these leaves. I also love how there's, like, these foreground leaves that creates more depth within the piece. I think that's fantastic. But I'd recommend kind of on this, like, rock or thing he's sitting on. I think it's a rock. But this piece of land that he's sitting on. I'd recommend turning down the blur a little bit, because the owl and, like, the thing he's standing on are on, like, the same plane, I guess. Same with the mushroom, whereas like things in the foreground, like the falling acorn and the falling leaves, they can be blurred. Then him and his rock and his mushroom can be in focus, and then the background can be blurred, and you get that really like nice focus effect. Whereas I feel here like the blur is just like a little smidge too much as it is right now. You could even blur the bottom of the rock, but I think it just needs to be pulled back just a smidge. But other than that, this is fantastic. I think this is amazing color work that you've done. Cole, good work. Okay, and finally we have V. Okay. Phones claps. Okay. The next 10 pages. So V, I don't know if you're here. I don't think they are. Okay. Well, you can ask me questions after. Same with you, Cole. The next 10 pages, again, I was hoping for similar to last time, critique on speech bubbles and their placement, onomatopoeia and sound effects, panel composition, framing, panel layout, things like that. Okay. Hell yeah. Okay. So looking through these, the work you've done on the speech bubbles is fantastic. Like, I want to show these to people as like, oh, I won't load. I want to show these to people as like a really great example of really nice looking speech bubbles. It's not going to load, is it? Oh no. Oh no. But basically, they are great placement, really clear typography. You've got lots of room around your lettering. The speech bubbles are very uniform. You don't have to do uniform speech bubbles, obviously, but they feel so balanced. It's really nice. I also like your placement. Like, it feels like you've left a good amount of space kind of in all of your panel compositions for the speech bubbles. Like, nothing feels crammed. You've got good flow. Like, I always know which speech bubbles to read in what order. And same with the panel compositions. Like, you've done a really good job with flow. Like, I always know where to look next. I really like the effects you do between panels and scene changes specifically. I think there's the scene where he's dropping off his sister, and he kind of like, he's like, oh, say hi to mom and dad, and then he's like, oh my god, and does like a big sigh. And I like how it kind of fades out to like smaller panels as it goes to the next scene. And you even have a scene transition between like where they're leaving the class she's taking and then getting into the car. Like, you have the scene change happen on the same page, but you have that one little tiny like panel showing the air freshener in their car as like a little scene transition. And yeah, and I just really like it. You've done really good separation between scenes, cool transitions. I wish I could show them because they're so good, but it won't show. No. Maybe if I reload it. Oh, Lord. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So, yeah. You've done, like, a great job with the speech bubbles. Super easy to read. Great placement, like I said. To find a page with the good scene transitions. Where is they? Oh, here it is. I love this one. It's so good. It's like they're at class. They say goodbye. And then you just see, like, the little air freshener, and then they're in the car, and it's like, yes, it's so good. It's such a great way to show the scene transition, like, on the same page. Like, that's fantastic. Like, just like a little bit of separation between the panels, and yeah, done. It's so good. And then yeah, so here's the other transition where it starts to like fade out, and I think that's so cool and so good. I also love all the character expressions. There's something just so like charming about the way you draw faces. I don't exactly know how to describe it, but they're very expressive. They feel very like sincere and genuine. Just something lovely, especially about the main guy. Shoot, what's his name? Is it Darian? Something like that. Sorry, I apologize. Can't remember names. But yeah, especially the main guy. There's something very like sweet about his face. But yeah, I really like. I love what you did with like the crowds, and like the backgrounds. You've done like a really great job with. Like they're very. Some of them are very simple, like just this drawing here where they're standing in the family booth, where like it's just boxes and rectangles and lines, but you still get a really good sense of where they are. I like what you've done with the crowds, where everything's kind of like silhouetted and blacked out, but you can still tell like there's lots of people. Crowd scenes is difficult, okay? I love these like statues and stuff. I would be interested in seeing these statues in particular kind of fleshed out more instead of just in silhouette, unless you had everything kind of in this foreground here silhouetted. There's little things like that where I think you could either go like super stylized with the silhouetting, with foreground elements for this shot, or you could just show more detail, especially with these statues, because they're so interesting with like the dance weapons and stuff. Like, I'd be so curious to see like a close-up of those, maybe not even in this scene, but just in the future, because that's such a cool world building thing to put in. I think you do a great job with like establishing shots, establishing how rooms look, and then showing the different characters in the room. I especially liked it for them talking in the family box, where you kind of see the parents in the background and then they show up here and then you see them silhouetted. I think that's just a nice touch to show kind of where everyone is in the room. I like what you've done with the sound effects and stuff. I especially liked the effect on this, the announcement bubble. I think that's really cool. I think you've done a lot of cool stuff with your typography and your sound effects and stuff. And I think you've done a really great job with this. One little thing I would, because I do, this might just be me, because I love the little staticky effects on this one. I get you're trying to get more intensity with these, with the continuation of the announcements, but I would like to see kind of to show. I mean, it's not like I'm being bitten by a cat. Sorry, Lear went after my feet. But I get you're trying to show more intensity, and I still understand that it's the announcer speaking, just from like the context of the talkie talks. But I think it would be cool to continue that kind of like square with the static effects. Maybe you could add more static effects and make them more kind of erratic and stuff, possibly, if that works in your style guide, you know. But yeah, I just think you did a fantastic job. Oh, there were a couple little things. I just noticed this looking through it. Speaking of our major mergers, so you have one going on here with this speech bubble. I haven't noticed it anywhere else in your pages. This one in particular, you've got some tangents going on. So like this edge of his bubble is like flush against the edge of this box, and then with the edge of the wall. So it's kind of making them blend in with those things. I'd recommend just moving the bubble a little bit, or changing maybe the angles of some of these lines so that they're overlapping the lines and not just like flush up against them. So I think that covers it. What else did you say? Just to make sure I'm covering everything. Speech bubbles placement, sound effects, composition, framing, panel layout. Yeah, I think you've done a fantastic job. I think there's one. Oh, bless you both. Bless you. There's one other small thing that I noticed with some of the panels. I think I can use this one as an example. I've noticed in some of your 3/4 views, the characters, I find the backs of their skulls are a bit too like wide. Where I find like, because the back of the neck generally, obviously like different people, different bodies, but generally the back of the neck kind of ends here behind the ear, and then the skull kind of like rounds out like that. So I think you've just got too wide of like a back of a neck and I think it only really appears in 3/4. Like I don't mind it in, I mean, I guess a little bit in their profile, but like head on, they look fine. From the backward, like 3/4, would it be 2/4? I don't know. But from the back, like they look fine. I just find it some of your 3/4 views where their necks just and the back of their heads just feel a little thick. So just something to watch out for in the future. Obviously, don't go redraw all these. These are lovely. So yeah, V, I don't think you're here, but if you rewatch this, please feel free to ask me any questions if I've missed anything. I think this is fantastic. So yeah, I think that's it. We're gonna go. Thank you everybody so much for coming. Goodbye.